Hi, my name is Chef Diamond of Uptown Amate, and I am here today at Dream Yard, and we are walking through some farm-to-table recipes. We're going to be talking about local gardens here in the Bronx. Today's recipe is a roasted cauliflower with a walnut garlic gremolata and a basmati rice that we're going to add some nuts and we're going to add some cranberries to. It's going to be super great. This is a super versatile recipe, and it's specifically for the winter series, because it's important to eat seasonally. That being said, I'm gonna walk you through what I have up here on my station, and then we'll do a little icebreaker and we'll jump into cooking. So here I have a head of cauliflower. You can pretty much find cauliflower like this if you don't have good knives, or for accessibility purposes are unable to cut a whole head of cauliflower. You can simply buy florets, that's totally fine. Today I haven't decided yet if we're going to do steaks or if we're going to do florets, but I will keep you all posted. I have two different types of parsley here. This beauty is from Kelly Street Garden, and this is our flat leaf parsley. It's also seen in some markets as Italian parsley. So if you ever see flat leaf or Italian, this is what you're looking for, and the leaves are certainly flat. They're much larger, especially in the wintertime, than they are in the summertime. And if they're organic, then they're super beautiful and bountiful. It depends on where you're purchasing. Here we have curly parsley, and you can see the visual difference. Curly parsley is also listed as American parsley. Here I have some granulated garlic. You can also use onion powder if you have. I have turmeric spice. Turmeric spice is what makes curry yellow. So curry is a combination of 15 to 17 spices, but the yellow thing is turmeric root. I have some smoked paprika here. I love smoked paprika. Paprika is actually just ground up red pepper skins. I have basmati rice here. Basmati rice cooks much quicker than regular rice and doesn't necessarily need just as much water. And I'll talk through rice making in a second. I have some chopped walnuts. Underneath my walnuts, I have cranberries. I have olive oil here. And we'll talk about olive oil in a second. And also from Kelly Street Garden, we have an array of very, very beautiful sage. So I'll start with what many of you may know when we talk about sage. This is broadleaf sage. I remember when I first went to culinary school, the only way I could identify it verbally is the fuzzy leaf, which is okay too, right? If we're being honest about how we engage with food, we engage based on what we can see. And so this beauty is purple sage, and she is exactly what she's called. And the last of my sage is pineapple sage. Now, pineapple sage kind of looks like mint leaf, and all sage is a part of the same family as mint. These herbs come from Kelly Street Garden, and remind me of their harvesting.
Yes. So Kelly Street Garden is located in the Bronx. It's one of our garden partners, and they have a weekly harvest day, a weekly farmers market, sometimes Fridays, sometimes Saturdays. But if you check their Instagram page, it's Kelly Street Green, just at Kelly Street Green. Then you can find out when they'll be having their farmers market.
So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut my cauliflower head in half. One trick that I learned in culinary school is to cut here and cut here so that I can release the florets from the base. So I'm just gonna cut in an angle. And I'm gonna be collecting my cauliflower in this large vessel here. If you have a large bowl, that's great. If you don't, feel free to improvise. This is a super big chunk. I'm gonna break it in half. If you can't break them in half, or if it feels like it's too large, feel free to just cut it in half and make bite-sized pieces. Once you cut the cauliflower though, it pretty much does the work on its own. gonna get my cauliflower coated with a little bit of oil. I just poured some olive oil in here just for ease of access. If you have a smaller jar, feel free to just pour from your jar. One thing I do want everyone to know is I have salt in this cup. If you have a little small bowl or a ramekin, you can put salt in that. And the reason I did that is because it's easier for us to control our salt if we can grab it and sprinkle it ourselves. A chef's pinch of salt is about a teaspoon of salt that involves your thumb and 4 fingers. So you're gonna take it. I wear black so you can see the salting. I'm gonna add as much smoked paprika as I'd like. You can add as much as you want as well. Remember, paprika gives really, really nice color. And this is smoked paprika. So it has a different flavor profile than regular paprika. I'm gonna do a pinch of turmeric. Not too much because my turmeric's gonna go into my rice. And like I said, I want food to be beautiful. And if I do turmeric in my rice and then turmeric in my cauliflower, everything's gonna be yellow. That's not what we're really looking for. I'm gonna add in my garlic powder. I wanna make sure that my seasoning is fully mixed. So I'm gonna head to the stove. I'm just gonna turn my fire on because I want my burner to get to the correct temperature. We're gonna be working on a medium-high heat, and then we're gonna transfer to the oven. My oven's preset at 410 degrees just because of the type of oven this is. Your oven might be different. Trust your instincts. If you don't feel comfortable cooking that high, that's perfectly okay. We're only cooking at this temperature because I want a nice chop. Okay, it's hot. Ouch. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of oil. I wanna say maybe a tablespoon. You don't need much. On what you're looking for. So I'm got good practice with eyeballing. I put in about a cup of rice based on who's here in the space. I don't wanna overcook. I am going to add a pinch of salt to my rice. I'm gonna add some turmeric. I want my rice to be a nice vibrant yellow. And add some garlic. And this method is called the pilaf method, and it's just toasting your rice in whatever fat you have. So, and you'll see when you cook rice at home, if you add butter, if you add oil to your pot, the rice will start to toast and kind of get like a solid white color. It starts to turn opaque, and that's what you want. Sure. I don't know if you can see it. It's golden, and that's what you want. You can certainly add more or less. Rice is gonna hang out. I'm gonna watch for it to start boiling or simmering. And then I'm gonna reduce my heat and let it cook at a very low rate. If you have a pot with a lid, even better. You can kind of set it and forget it. I don't have that, but it's up to you. All right, so I just added some oil to that pan for my cauliflower. I'm gonna jump to the side. And this is what my cauliflower looks like seasoned. So you'll have some florets that are super coated, some florets that are not. That's perfectly okay as well. So now I'm gonna make our gremolata. I'm gonna keep this cup here with oil because I need it. Have my garlic cloves here. And if you don't buy peeled garlic, the best way to peel your garlic. You can put it in a metal container, shake it up. The peel should come off. I'm going to put my knife flat, blade away from me, on top of my garlic, and smash it. And it'll pop right out. Just press two, and smash for dramatic effect. I'm an Aries, I like the chaos. You really only need about a tablespoon of walnuts. Measurements are tricky too. When you read a recipe, it might say a tablespoon of walnuts, but they might mean chopped walnuts already. It might mean minced walnuts already, so pay attention to the language. I want a tablespoon of these. They're roughly chopped. I want to fine chop them. I want them to be super tiny, almost unidentifiable as walnuts. You want to get it to maybe the texture of a breadcrumb. All right, so my cauliflower is starting to char, and that's what we want. We want this like nice golden color. I'm gonna let this hang out on the stove top for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm gonna transfer to the oven. This side's gonna go right in the oven. My rice is done. That's gonna sit there. And sometimes a little sweet with our savory or our salty is super nice. So our rice still has a bunch of steam and liquid, and my cranberries are gonna get soaked up in that. And now I'm gonna use my parsley. So I'm gonna use curly parsley for this just because I can chop it up much more fine than I can my Italian parsley. And cutting parsley is, it depends on the recipe. So sometimes you need to remove the stems, sometimes you don't need to remove the stems. But the best way to cut curly parsley is to hold it leaf down and then rotate your knife along the stems. And then you have just the leaves, which is what we need. We're gonna use parsley for our rice and for our gremolata. So I'm chopping enough for both. When you're cooking, you wanna make sure that you knock out the same things in the quantities that you'll need them. If you have 2 parts of your recipe that uses onion, cut enough for both parts so that you don't have to revisit your cutting board later. I'm gonna plate up because it is about that time.
Also, we've got some questions and comments in the chat. It is blowing up. I'm gonna scroll back up.
Okay.
Victoria has was just wondering about cauliflower rice, and Victoria also wanted to know what your recommendation for the best pasta is.
So all of that cauliflower stalk that I just put in the trash from my florets is how they make cauliflower rice. So if you like cauliflower rice or you want to explore with cauliflower rice, but you don't necessarily want to take out the lemon, pay $6 for cauliflower rice. You buy yourself a head of cauliflower, keep the stalks, rough chop them yourself, or you can blitz them in a food processor. Now you have cauliflower rice. We use it at my job. It's a really good alternative. It's not super filling, but cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, they hold a lot of gas. It's a smart food to eat, especially if you want to curb appetite and you want to start training your body to eat less. So a cup of rice versus half a cup of cauliflower rice, makes you feel the same amount of full because cauliflower has natural gases that make the gut expand inside. Broccoli does the same thing. Brussels sprouts do the same thing. And I encourage folks to think about when they order, like if you order Chinese food, you get chicken wings and pork fried rice. It has MSG, so MSG interrupts our brain's ability to signal to the stomach that it's full. That's what MSG is. It's almost like a numbing spice and stops the communication between your brain and your body, which is why so many of us have at one point in time eaten a whole carton of rice, but it's usually like 32 ounces of rice in one of these containers. I've seen them scoop, they use the little plastic containers. One of those containers is 16 ounces. Sometimes they do a double scoop in one tray of food. So imagine you've eaten 32 ounces of rice and you don't even realize that you've eaten 32 ounces of rice because of the additives in the food, right? Versus ordering chicken and broccoli, you might not even finish a chicken and broccoli. I really rarely see someone finish and order chicken and broccoli or beef and broccoli or shrimp and broccoli. It's because of the gas from the broccoli. So our bodies interact with food differently, and understanding the food that you're getting and understanding how it affects your body is going to change the way you eat as well. So that was a long-winded way of saying I'm okay with cauliflower rice. I don't hate it. It is not super flavorful. You certainly have to flavor it yourself. But if you trust your instinct, which I trust your instincts, go for it.
And I also just want to uplift something that Charmaine has said in the comments. Charmaine has recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol, and also commented, and I know Miss Charmaine, so I know that this was said with a laugh and a smile. Okay, you people like to cook. I'm not really into cooking. I do it to survive.
That's real. Some people don't like to cook. I love to cook. But please know that sometimes I am just doing it to survive as well. The reality is we don't have a lot of time to dedicate, right, to cooking. So finding things in our supermarket that are quick and easy, things that are super accessible. They don't have to be the unhealthy things. Sometimes they can just be shortcuts in the kitchen, or instead of buying an onion, a pepper, and a squash, a package of pre-cut vegetables, that works too. It cuts cooking time down by half. If you don't like to cook, then plan your meals ahead. One thing that I encourage everybody to do is go to the store or the supermarket with a menu. So even if you know you're gonna have frozen pizza all week, have a menu of which kind of frozen pizza you're gonna eat every single day, so that you can avoid spending too much money in the supermarket, overextending yourself, buying fruits and vegetables that you're not gonna eat or cook in time, that are gonna die in your fridge, which is something I'm still working on. And I understand it, like some people don't want to engage with their food at the stove. But I think that, especially when it comes to our health, nobody can do it better than us. And so yes, medications help. Yes, doctors are supportive, but I will give some pushback to say that like you absolutely can do it, and you can change what your relationship is. So you might not want to sit at the stove, but you might be able to put together a bunch of things and have a great relationship with that microwave. Like you can steam in your microwave. Take a big glass bowl, quarter cup of water, put some broccoli or some other vegetables, and cover it with plastic wrap. Plastic wrap is totally heat safe. You can steam your vegetables in your microwave, have steamed vegetables, versus boiling at the stove. Put it in a bowl, knock it out. You can actually cook potatoes and mash them in the microwave as well. Put enough water to cover them, cut them up, enough water to cover them, and put it in the microwave for about 10 to 12 minutes. Drain your liquid, mash them up. Those things are quick and easy things. They don't require a lot of dishes. They're not super laboring. You can pop it in and kind of set it and forget it. Right. So now we're going to put our gremolata on top of our cauliflower. And a big part of eating is literally just how the food looks. So when reading the menu, you're probably like, what is that? I've never had that before. But once it's on a plate, it changes everything.
Also, Victoria's wondering what spices can you use to flavor Brussels sprouts?
Ooh, Brussels are my faves.
They're my faves.
I like to do Brussels with some butter or some oil in an oven, salt and pepper, and then when they come out, I do a fresh squeeze of lemon. You can do balsamic vinegar and honey. I have tossed Brussels sprouts in red pepper flakes and brown sugar. They do really, really well with sweet and savory too. So you'll notice I said balsamic vinegar and honey, brown sugar, red pepper flake. You can do lemon, you can do butter. Brussels sprouts don't need a lot of manipulation. Brussels sprouts are a textural food. So a lot of people don't like them because they've had them boiled or they're too soggy. You want a nice crisp when you eat a Brussels sprout. Not tough, but crisp. So if you take a tablespoon of butter, you put it on the stove, you cut your Brussels sprouts in half and you put them cut side down. They're gonna get nice and brown and golden. You can flip them all, 2 tablespoons of water, let that steam cook the underside, turn your pot off, and then come back in 3 minutes. They'll be the perfect texture, and then you can season them however you like. Our meal is ready, and I'd like one of you to come up and taste it.
I would love.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is literally the best part of my day. Oh, I think I have plastic.
There's some plastic forks right behind you.
Wow. Thanks, Chef.
No problem.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. This is incredible. I mean, look at this plating. Yeah. I don't even know where to start. I'm very sorry for y'all at home right now.
So I can hear the cauliflower crunching. That's important, right? We discount the importance of texture when we eat. And if a vegetable is too soft, it has a lot of water in it, we're not gonna like it. It's not gonna be a nice mouthfeel. It's not gonna go down easy and our stomachs are not gonna process. Talk to me, chef.
Okay. Chef to chef. Okay. What's happening with the cauliflower right now? I'm tasting the turmeric. I'm tasting, that little bit of salt. I can also taste the parsley on it. And that savory flavor is the thing that makes me think of this as chicken.
Right.
This is the best meal I've had all day. I'm so happy. But I want to give you a more specific feedback, especially as a Virgo. All I got right now is almost tears of joy.
I'm glad.
I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying this because I want y'all to come here on December 13th.
Shameless plug.
Right.
Come meet me in person. We had some music going. It's super fun here. I know that it's winter. I know that it's super dark outside. But come be in the dark with friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Thank you so much, Chef Diamond. I'm so excited that you came through for our first workshop. Definitely want to remind you all that if you have not registered for our community organizing programs, come through. We've got our Bronx Farm to Table series that Chef Diamond is leading today, but also December 13th. We have our parent advocacy group for all our caregivers out there. And then we have our Bronx Power Teaching Workshop series where we're diving deeper into these systemic issues that we touched on tonight. And that's 4 times this year. So we've already had our first 2. The next 2 are next year. My email address is on the website at dreamyard.com/COSI. That's also where our registration form is. That's where we'll be posting our recipes, the videos, and I would love to add you all to our Remind text chat. And so you will only get remind messages from either me or Miss Sane. We'll be letting you know, and we'll also keep the conversation going. So all of these things that we're talking about here tonight, we'll be continuing the conversation on Remind in our group chat. So join us next month.